January is here. Happy New Year. Let's get started with our first month, which is profit mapping. Now, please keep in mind there's going to be several of videos. See, I'm already getting so excited, right? And I have some of my notes here, so I do not want to forget anything and reference anything. Again, if you saw the welcome video, we will not be moving forward. That means that everything that is in month one or whatever month we're working on will be updated on the first of every month. Therefore, you cannot work ahead. So let's get started with the first part of this profit mapping. Let me just give you an overview of what's going to happen in this first month. We're really going to dive into the numbers. So if you look at your welcome package, you got a really nifty calculator. Old school, right? I know. But I promise that the calculator is beyond its measures of just calculating. It's something for you to really embrace and understand numbers. So I got to give you a little story because this is how I'm able to really get into your minds and understand exactly what I'm talking about. Growing up, numbers wasn't really my thing. I was an artist and I loved art and I loved being creative and I loved reading and I loved writing, but numbers were not my thing. What happened was that I understood how numbers really affected me. Were you one of those kids in algebra class who are like, what's this formula got to do with real life? That was me. And so when I started to grow my business in the beginning of my business, straight from room 503 at Johnson & Wales University in Miami, I was like, okay, I got to use math now because I need to calculate this and I need this and I need that. And it became clear what was important in my business was understanding my numbers, the top number, the bottom number, and all the different numbers. And so I became having this relationship with the numbers of loving them and seeing how they affect me. So profit mapping is just that. Understanding and loving numbers, not just the numbers on the calculator, but the numbers you want to see, the numbers that you want to come true, and the numbers for your business. But of course, we have to start with one of the pain subjects that no one ever wants to talk about, and it's budgets. About 72% of Americans, or just people around the world, do not budget correctly. They don't like to budget. They don't want to budget. So let's get rid of some of things that people say about budgets. First of all, having a budget does not mean that you're broke. Let's get that right. Doesn't mean that you are cheap. It doesn't mean that your mindset is broke and that you are running around and you don't have any money. Having a budget means that you are responsible and you appreciate your money. You appreciate the things that come in. You take value of what you bring in and what you take out. So I know for me, budgets is something really important to me because I feel like I have freedom. When I see where my numbers are and I see what I can do and what I can't do, I feel like I'm free. That if I wanted to go splurge on something or take a vacation or do whatever it is that I wanted to do, I feel that as long as I know what my numbers are, I have freedom. So please keep in mind that anything that we're talking about is going to be really hard to capture in your mind, and it's probably not going to sit well with you, and you're probably going to have an aha moment where you're like, I spend too much money on coffee, or I spend too much money on this. But the reality is, and any successful person and anyone that has to do with a business will tell you this: if you do not know how to work your numbers, if you do not know how to generate those numbers, then your business will never be successful or never be on this ladder of success because you will not be valuing your money. The second thing we want to talk about budgets is that people say that budgets are hard. They're so difficult. You can't do it. It's like merely impossible. Wrong. Budgets are super simple because all it is really is adding, subtracting, and multiplying. And as long as you know how to add and subtract, trust me, you're already on there. But also budgets are super easy because it lays everything out, which we're going to be going and doing in the next couple of videos. The third thing that people talk about with budgets is that budgets, they're not really needed. I don't know who said that, but I hear it a lot. People say that budgets aren't needed. They are needed. And every single client that I work with, or even people, my friends, my family, they always say, can you just help me? I just don't understand. And I always say, once you see it on paper, once you see the numbers flow, and once you see everything come together, guess what? you're going to feel so much better, because then you're not going to be overwhelmed, because we have this in our mind that we're just like, I have to pay this, I have to pay this, how am I going to afford this? I don't know this. But once you see the numbers laid out and you see what's coming in and what's going out, you're able to be a little bit more responsible. So profit mapping, the big part of profit mapping is going to be the budgeting. And we are also going to talk about the psychology of your business and the profits. And we're also going to be speaking about other things like support. I got my nifty notes, so if I don't look at the camera, it's because I want to make sure that I'm getting all the information. So profit mapping is a really, really important month. I would like for you to take the next 31 days in January, the whole month, to really think and do the challenges. And I want you to do the spreadsheets. I want you to reread these things. I want you to analyze everything, because if you do month one the way you're supposed to, and you have next month is going to be a breeze when we start putting these numbers together. And the couple of months and all the next couple of months, all the way till December when it's ready to shine, you will see the reaps of the reward. You will actually see within the next 30 days, once we start putting these budgets, you're going to see a major change. And I am 1,000% confident that you will see a major change once you set a budget. And I'm not just talking just any budget. I'm talking about a really, really, really streamlined budget that is for your business and for your personal life. Because at the end of the day, no matter if you work a 9-to-5 or if you work on the side or whatever it is, as long as you have money coming in, you have to be able to differentiate what's going into your business and what's going into your personal. I think that's actually one of the most important questions that I get, and we will get to there. So hang on, get your notebook, get your calculator, get your everything, because we are about to get into profit mapping. So we are profit mapping month one, and we want to talk about the psychology of the human mind or human behavior. So one of my favorite classes in college was consumer behavior, and I didn't know why it was going to be one of my favorite classes, but basically it was the psychology of how we think. Remember, how we do one thing is how we do everything. Write that down. How you do one thing is how you do everything. And it is so true, and it's proven, because you can look at the way that I look at my closet. We have a walk-in closet, my wife and I look at her side and I look at my side, and I'm like, yeah, she's definitely neater than I am. You look at her office and you look at my office, and I'm like, yep, that looks like it needs to be a display on IKEA, and mine looks a hot mess. So it's true. I mean, sometimes I'm all over the place, and she's way much more organized than I am in a sense of keeping organization. So the psychology of how we are as a person, as a human, and of course in psychology classes, is how we are as well in what we do in our business and how we operate in our business, but also how we shop. So my favorite class, consumer behavior, was a lot to do with why and how and where am I gravitated to to buy something. So depending on how my behavior, the psychology of who I am, has a lot to do how I buy. Well, about 60%, according to resources in consumer research, is that about 62% to be exact, according to 62% of people, they buy based on these behaviors. And what happens is that businesses either can gravitate to those behaviors and they know exactly who their customer is, or they don't gravitate to the behaviors and they only gravitate to about one or two. Or sometimes they do the following. They gravitate to their behavior and they feel like their customer is exactly who they are. Wrong. Your customer will not always be like you. And of course, there are some things that you like, which gravitates to your customer, but it's not always who you are. So here's some points to write down for the first part of the psychology of our human behavior. The I. We have to understand yourself, who you are, what type of person you are, because when you understand what type of person you are, what takes you, what gets you going, what motivates you, what your strengths, what your weaknesses, you get a better sense of how you can run your business. The reason why this is possibly, and most importantly, second best to the finances is because understanding who you are can understand what you can improve on, what you can improve in, not only from a creative point of view, but also from a business point of view. So let's take a little example. About 5 years ago, let's make it simple. 1 year ago, how was your creativity? Write that down. I want you to list about 5 things how was your creativity? Describe your creativity sense and what you created in the last year. So last year, not 2017, 2016. What did you create? Write that down. I'm going to go back a couple years ago, way years ago, when I started Favela Designs, a long time ago when I first started Favela Designs. I started doing designs that were like graffiti-ish. I was inspired by London punk. There were loud colors. There were lots of prints. I had gold and metallic swimwear. Not to say that that's not in now or whatever the case, but it was completely different than when I did Dominican Republic Fashion Week, which was years after that, which I did an inspired African line where I brought the roots of my culture, the African roots through the Hispanic culture, and I brought the original African roots and I brought them together into fashion pieces, and it was completely different. It was a complete different person. Now, look at that list that you wrote, those 5 things. This year, 2017, probably would have designed something completely different from 2016. It's because you're evolving, and there's lots of different things that have to do with that. It could be society, it could be culture, it could be people, it could be things that you read, it could be trends. And even though you don't want to be a part of a trend, even though you're not captured by something, you see it all around, and what happens is it gets into your mind, and then you automatically start to think of your own creativity to create. So I is the number one important thing of why you need to understand what you need to work on. There's a lot of things in my business that I appreciate now, and especially since I have a business partner, that a lot of things that I was just not good at, and I could admit it. And now I can admit it, of the things that I just was not good at. And understanding the psychology of it, you understand where you need help and how you need help and when do you need help, and you don't wait the last minute. So remember, I is the most important. The next one is team. When you're working with people in business, there's going to be people that are like you and that are not like you. How do you work with difficult people? Write that down. How do you work with difficult people? The reason why we're doing these exercises is because you will be doing something very, very important. And trust me, this is all worth it. You probably feel like you're in school, but trust me, I'm getting there. How do you work with difficult people? Are you difficult back? Are you passive aggressive? Do you just ignore? Do you have this positive zen about you that you just try to fix everything? How do you deal with difficult people? Do you always have to be right? Are you an optimist? Are you combating with them? Think about it. How we build relationships with people and how we deal with situations, either people that are not on our team or people that we're encountering, says a lot about how the outcome of your business is. I'll give you an example. In the fashion industry, there's one major thing that you have to do with, and it's sourcing. And most companies that source fabric, that has fabrics, are from different countries. Let's just keep it at that. And they have different cultures. And a lot of the times it is a male-dominated, no matter how we want to see it. Fabric companies or factories or whatever the case is are mostly male-dominated. So, we're in a rah-ha-ha, like, women, we rock, right? Rock into this male-dominating industry for fabric. And you're trying to make some negotiations here. And dude's telling you, like, no, I'm not doing this for you. Who are you? Excuse me? What do? Do you get all confrontational for them? Or how do you do to resolve it? Well, guess what? That was me when I first started. I felt like I needed to prove a point, and I was confrontational, and I was rude back, and I was very savvy, and it wasn't getting me anywhere. I wasn't going to negotiate anything, and they were still mad at me. It wasn't getting me anywhere. And it was my mindset of how I was dealing with things. A really big thing I want you to write down right now. Do not burn bridges. Rewind. Do not burn bridges. No matter how the relationships you have, don't burn your bridges. And this is the number 2 thing of why the psychology of your human behavior is important. When you are working with all types of people, no matter if you fall apart or it's not something works for you, make sure you keep that relationship. So now I want you to write a list of about anyone that you felt like you kind of left off in 2017, not feeling so right in the business. Because I would like for you to do is send them an email telling them that you left the 2017 in the past, it didn't work out, but you know what? If they ever need anything from you in the future, you are game. Or if they need anything, or you will be happy to help them, or whatever the case is, and bond that relationship, even if you never use them or work with them again. Let me tell you why. Because no matter what you think, this world is smaller than you think it is. And as some might believe in karma and some don't believe in karma, it's given. Karma is real. And in business, what happens is whatever you put out, it will come back, even if you don't think it is. So go ahead and make that list right now and send an email to those people, or hopefully it's not a lot of people, and kind of mend those relationships. And as we get down to the next portion of this whole psychology of human behavior, you're going to see exactly how to deal with these people. The next one is present. Let's think about things right now. How do we deal with things in our life right now? When we get stressed, when we're happy, when we can't get something, when we can't understand something, when we need it, we need support, when we're angry, when we're just so excited. Like, how do we deal with those scenarios right now? Think of how and what you're going through at this very moment. Well, the holidays are just over. Bummer, I gotta get back to work, right? Or I gotta get my goals going, or I feel behind, or oh my God, I'm chasing after, or what I need this, I wanna do this, I wanna do that, I wanna do this. All that can be very overwhelming. And how we react to that can react to everything else that we put. If we force something out in the universe, then what's gonna happen is that in our business, it's going to hurt. I'll give you an example. In 2017, I was doing some one-on-one coaching. I had a lot of stuff going on. We were on the road. We were on the road with our apothecary. We had an RV. We were doing so much. But guess what? When you're doing so much, something always tends to kind of fall and dwindle apart, and something always does not get that attention. What happens is that the present moment, you cannot see anything else but the present moment. You're trying to fix the present moment, but you forget that tomorrow is the future. 5 minutes from now is the future. And how you deal with things can those decisions and those opportunities, if you say yes, no, or maybe, those things can really, really affect you. Understanding how you act at the present moment and how you deal with things is important. Now, before we get on to the future, because that's the last point, future is, how do you see yourself? What do you want to see yourself? How does your mind think? Do you live in the clouds all the time? Do you have to write everything down? Does everything have to be in order? It's okay. Embrace who you are. But this is why understanding the psychology of your human behavior is super important. So we are going to do an activity, and the activity is on the website below, 16personalities.com. And if you've ever heard of Myers-Briggs, or if you've ever done it before, or if you've ever did anything that has to do with psychology, you understand that these things are, you read them and you take them with a grain of salt, but this one's really good. Really, really good. In the library, you will also see the PDF called Personality Type. So after you finish, you can go on there and you can actually look at your personality type, and you can nod and say, yep, you were so right. This is so me. I really want you to be open-minded and be really honest when you're taking this on 16personalities.com. We do not get any kickbacks for anything. We just really believe in this because this is essentially where we need to start with how you think and how your mindset and who you are as a person Embrace who you are. My wife and I are completely opposites when it comes to we have similarities, but we have opposites when it comes to our personality type, but it works so well. And sometimes we come butt heads in business because we're two fire signs and we're very passionate. But at the end of the day, we balance each other because she's so much strategic and I'm so much like sometimes in the clouds, even though I'm quick to jump and do something. It's important to have that balance. So not to say that I'm not going to improve, but I understand there's benefits to that. And knowing the relationships that we build with businesses, I know that she's really good communicator with them. Or if I know I'm doing something, probably a sale for a wholesale product, and I'm like, I need someone who has this expertise, because I know me, I'm just going to be like, yeah, whatever, and then figure it out later. No, please take some time, do your personality test, and it's kind of like a Myers-Briggs, exactly. Then I want you to spend at least 20 to 30 minutes of your time, and I want you to research. I want you to research all the famous people, celebrities, successful people that there will be. You can find them on Pinterest, of what's correlating to your personality type. And I want you to look at the form that we gave when it was the brainstorm, and I want you to think of all the things that you need to work on. And I want you to highlight all the things that you need to work on. And then I want you to highlight all the things that you're awesome at. Please, please, please take some time to do this personality test, because we are going to be covering it in the months to come. And if you are a certain personality, go ahead and share it with me in the chat on Thursdays, because what's going to happen is that now we can understand what your personality is and how you can deal with certain things when it comes to pitching, when it comes to investing. Where do you need help? How do you need help? What are your strengths? What are your opportunities to work on? Not really weaknesses. It's more like opportunities, because we can always improve something about us. So please take some time, 16personalities.com, and look at the PDF in the library, and you can compare. And also, if you have a business partner in your business, go ahead and have them take it as well. I think it would be really good to see what they got and what you got. And also make sure that you write some key pointers of why you might be this way. And it really does explain to you exactly why you might be a certain way than another. So keep out for it. Our next video, we're going to be talking about the introduction to investing before we get to our budget babes. And we're going to be really digging into the money factor of your brand. If you have any questions, you can always email us, but go, enjoy, go do it, go do it, go do it.